Underdog. Damn. Unleash the power.
Jayson Waller here, True Underdog Podcast. And Underdogs, I have got an amazing show today, but I want to give an announcement real quick as we're going to the show. Top 3 podcasts. I want to appreciate all the listeners and followers out there. We passed Gary Vee. I love Gary Vee, but we're number 3 coming for that number 1 spot. And part of that is bringing guests on like we have today. This woman right here is a badass person. She is a leader. She's an entrepreneur. She's an angel investor. She's an author. She was on the show 2 Minute Drill with me. She's inspiring. She's motivating. She kicks ass and asks questions later. Kim Perell, how are you doing?
Hey, Jayson. So happy to be here with you. Congratulations, number 3. Working your way up to number 1, baby.
I'm trying. Yeah. So how have you been?
I've been great. I'm in New York this week. It's beautiful. The city's bopping.
Oh, that's so good. And then I came to see you when I was in Florida. You've got a beautiful family, a beautiful home. How is it moving from California to Florida? You loving it yet?
I love it. We're 9 months in and it's been like a whirlwind, but I feel it's been such an amazing time to make the jump from one place to another and just be able to really immerse yourself in a different environment and meet new people. And it's just, and everyone's coming into Miami. So I feel like I get to see you. I get to see so many people. I'm like a stop on the way to somewhere.
Well, what's really cool about you, Kim, is you're a fellow EY Entrepreneur of the Year award winner. So to me, that's kind of like a group that we're in. So I know that you've won that and you've built a tremendous businesses and you're invested in how many companies right now?
Over 100. But a lot of exits. So I think, I'm just waiting. I got a call earlier yesterday that I got another one on getting an exit. So that's good news.
Well, that is great news. And I lean on you because, we're in a transaction mode right now. So I use you as a coach to kind of understand the dynamic. Do I go public? Do we do private equity? All of those big questions that I lean on you for. You are definitely the expert of that. But let's talk about your early life. Let's start with that, right? So you grew up in Portland collecting cans to get an allowance. Talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't have any money. So in Portland, you got 5 cents for every can, which was a lot. And I, at like 9, I had big dreams. I need like magazines. I need some Cheetos, maybe like, trip down something at the store. So really, but we didn't have any, other ways to make money. So I was ambitious and I went door to door collecting cans and then wheeled them up to the local grocery store and then, traded them in. It was like my side hustle as like a young person, right?
Well, then your side hustle led to flipping pizzas and suits. I mean, you're a real hustler. Talk about the journey all the way up to college. I mean, that's what you did. Your first car. What was all that like?
So honestly, like everything I ever wanted, I had to work for. And I think, looking back, my dad was like, 8 hours is a half day, Kim. And I'd say, well, so I'd come home from school and he'd be like, what are you doing the rest of your day? I'm like, well, it's over. And he's like, no, that meant get a job. I'm like, I'm a kid. And he's like, it doesn't matter who you are, go get a job. So then I get a job. And to your point, yeah, I worked at a pizza parlor. I worked at a candy shop. I folded clothes. I was a cashier. Then I worked my way up and then I sold suits. I mean, you name it, I would do it just to make a buck.
Oh, that's awesome. Listen, you definitely have hustle and we run the 2 Minute Drill together that just came out season 2. And you gave a lot of those entrepreneurs great advice and inspired them to keep pushing their business. But sometimes entrepreneurs struggle and, you're an owner of over 100 businesses now or invested in over 100 businesses, but you were a multimillionaire by the age of 30. Did you have any struggles getting to that point?
I mean, yeah.
Because everybody sees the awards, but they don't see the struggle. So I want everybody to see the struggle.
They don't. The overnight success is not a reality. No, I mean, honestly, I definitely became a multimillionaire, but also, by the time I started bankrupt, I was broke. I'd been unemployed. I've been fired.
And how old were you when that happened? When you went bankrupt? That was after you were successful and then went bankrupt, right?
No, so actually, I was 22 probably. Okay. So my first company, we'd raised 120 million, and we thought we were, it's .com. It was a heyday. We thought we were all going to be internet millionaires, and that dream became a very bad nightmare very quickly.
But that's still successful. You raise that kind of money, you've got a company, and then you hit a wall.
we hit a wall. Yeah. And I was an employee. So I was like number 7 of like a company that grew to like 250 people. And it was big, and it was like a precursor to Dropbox. So before it's cloud computing, it was just a hot space. True visionaries have the vision. Sometimes just the market and the timing doesn't work. And I think it's important to note that, because just like you, everyone has a vision. It's all about market timing. There's other circumstances that may or may not impact like your success. And honestly, at that point, we were just burning cash, and the company just could not stay afloat. And so they I had to lay off all my friends who I told they were going to be millionaires. We're all going to be millionaires. And then then I had to lay them off. So then lost a lot of trust on that one. And then I got fired too, and found myself outside sitting on the sidewalk thinking, what am I going to do? Right. I just put my name on this. Like, my track record wasn't exactly
Right.
painted full of successes. And I don't think anyone wanted to lend me any money at that point. And, honestly, though, but to your point, I felt like such a failure. Like, I really felt like I just, I hit rock bottom. And so when you hit rock bottom, you're like, what do you do next? And I think you can only wallow for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point you have to make the conscious decision, like, and make the decision, what are you going to do? And like, I believe the best bet you can make is a bet on yourself.
Amen. I love that.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what are you going to do? I'd already hit rock bottom, so there's nowhere else to go. So I'm like, okay, well, the only place to go is up. So I took a leap, like a life-changing leap into entrepreneurship. And that's where, like, that was a game changer for me. And, everyone's like, get a real job. And it's like, well, I just had a real job. So there was no security in my real job. And so I might as well find something that I actually had control of, or at least, my own personal belief I had control of it, right? When you start your own company, the buck stops with you. There's no one you can blame. There's, like, it's just, it's the end. And I felt like I was happy to take on that pressure, because at least if it didn't work out again, I can only blame myself.
Yeah, because you controlled your destiny. And one thing you just said for the listeners and viewers out there is you took a leap. A lot of people are scared to take that leap. A lot of people would have hit bottom and just kind of quit on themselves and just went and did the everyday job. I always think of the guy at Dunkin' Donuts. Remember the old commercials? I've got to go make the donuts. Like, a lot of people want to live like that because they're scared of failure, and they're scared to take that leap, which you took a leap. The first time it failed, and then you took another leap on yourself rather than being part of something with somebody else, and you grew it from the bottom up. Talk about that. You grew this company, and then you ended up selling it for, it was $235 million or something, right?
Yeah. It was definitely a journey. So again, I don't think the road to success is a straight line.
I tell everybody there's no elevator. You got to take the stairs, and it's like, oh, I fall. You got to keep going.
There's no elevator. Yeah, so it was definitely a journey trying to get to the top. And honestly, I don't think you ever really, what is the top anyway, right? Like, I think it's just a matter of an accomplishment. It's like, for me, it's just doing what you love, and like having the belief in yourself, and like this big idea and this passion, and creating it. And honestly, it was hard. And I think that's really important. Like, I sat at my kitchen table. Everyone has a kitchen table. There is no one if you don't have a kitchen table, you've got a garage, you've got a basement, you've got it doesn't actually even, and now that was 20 years ago. It's never been easier to start something. And I really believe if you have the ambition, you can, if you really believe in it, you can achieve that. So it's like, if I can start at my kitchen and go all the way up, so can you, right? And I think that's really important to remember. It's like, I started with nothing, less than nothing, because I had a track record of bankruptcy, so that wasn't helping me. But I definitely crawled my way back up.
And nothing, the transition of you running your company was Amobee, right? What were the challenges you ran, that you ran into before you got to the point where you could sell the company?
Oh my gosh. Well, originally the challenges we had was we didn't have any cash, right? So that was a challenge. And
that's hard to do stuff without cash. People don't, people need to understand that.
You can. It's like people say that, how do I start something without any money? Well, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of hustle, right? So it's like, I was, and it's a good thing. I think from me, like going back to where my dad's like 8 hours a half day. So 16 hours, like I was putting in and day out. Like I was, just determined to be successful. And I think that like relentless determination and then ambition, like you find like a path leads to a path. So it's like finding that path to success and understanding, even if you hit the roadblock, like to your point, there's no elevator. Start taking the stairs, start walking, right?
Well, let's talk about the rise of women entrepreneurs. I mean, especially during the pandemic, I've seen so many awesome females step up, take that leap that you took. Where do you think we are right now for female entrepreneurs, and where do you think we're trending?
I mean, honestly, I think, it's hard. I think pandemic, I have 4 kids, so it's been hard. And I think for females and female entrepreneurs, just trying to start a business while during the pandemic and you have your kids at home and depending on the ages, you're homeschooling, is so much that I actually think is probably one of the hardest times for a woman to start, depending on the support system and, other circumstances. So, but I think the opportunity has never been better. I really believe that. And so it's having that belief because you can still start. I mean, I again have 4 kids. I wake up in the morning before they get up. I'm working when after they go to sleep. Like, how do you find the time to do that? Like, you just got to cut out all the noise. I look at it like noise and bandwidth. You only have so much bandwidth every day, and you can only tolerate like so much noise. So really like reducing the noise so you can really focus on really what matters and like cut all of the distractions out. Definitely make sure to listen to your podcast. But other than that, you just got to like cut it all out because it's noise. Focus on like what you want to achieve, like with that relentless determination, right?
Yeah. And balance, life balance, having 4 kids, being this woman entrepreneur mogul. I mean, you're just taking on the world. You're doing big things. We're going to talk about your book that you already had in the book that's coming out. But, you're on TV shows. You're all over the place. You're running over 100 companies that you're invested in. How do you do life balance? How does any person out there listening balance family and business? And how does a mom do that? How does a mom balance that?
Yeah, for me, because I have 2 sets of twins.
Woo!
It's serious. So everything for me is about scheduling. And so I schedule honestly like blocks of time with my family. Just I would schedule blocks of time to work or blocks of time to like exercise or blocks of, like everything to me is just maximizing every minute of the day for what's most important, to achieve my own goals. And obviously for me, putting my family first is very important to me. And then I love helping others achieve success. I love entrepreneurs. Like it is in my DNA. I just wake up and think, how can we create and innovate and how can I help others? But again, to the point of noise, there's not a lot of other things besides my family and like my entrepreneur like goals and like that support that I do. Like I'm really focused.
No, I love that. I mean, you're empowering people and serving and helping people all the time and inspiring them. And it's so important that we give back. Our success continues to grow as we continue to give back and bring people along for the ride. And you do a great job of that. Let's talk about you being an angel investor in almost over 100 companies with over 20 exits with your name on it. Now, I'm looking for my first exit, right? I'm like, whoa, I'm like new to the exit game, right? And I'm probably going to stay in another tranche, but I'm working my way to that. What is that like? How exciting is that? And for the listeners that don't know what that means, explain what that means when you're an angel investor and then you have exits.
Well, I mean, it's so interesting. I think the best exits, like the one that most meaningful, are the ones you build yourself. So like the first company, when I sold it the first time and I sold it twice. So similar to what you're saying, Jayson, like getting a second bite of the apple. But the first time, like that's something that you put, it's like your baby. It's like everything you had, you put in it. And to have someone else realize the value of that is, there's nothing else, like you can't put there's no price on that. I do remember I actually sold and like it hit when I was in Vegas and I went to the ATM machine and like it exceeded like the numbers that were on the little like ticket it gives you. And I was like, it was just like one of those things that you'll never forget. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe like I never in the world like thought it was going to be this great or big or just like so grateful. Right. But yeah. I think that was like one of those moments when you can't even believe it. So,
oh, that's awesome.
I don't know. And then, right. And like, then how do I, after that, that's when I started, I hadn't invested until I sold the first time. And then I had capital to invest. And then I really just wanted to, invest in other people that were on that same journey and that were, like my grandma invested in me and that's what started my first company. And I think, how do I pay that forward? I really want to make sure, like let's invest in other entrepreneurs and like give them the same mentorship and like, how do I do that? And so that's why I invest in a lot of companies because I really want to be and, there to support them and have them have that moment, right?
No, I think that I couldn't imagine getting a receipt and I'm in Vegas. I'm ready to gamble. You guys ready to roll some dice? Oh, shit. I can't even see the zeros on my thing. Like, true swag, baby. What? Like, hey, that is great, though. I mean, because it's well deserved. When you work hard and you build something you love that you're passionate about, and people don't realize, like you having a business, it's like it's our child. I mean, you really have 5 kids. I mean, your business was your other child. That's how I look at it. I've got 4 kids, 2 great kids, but really I got 5 because Power Home's my child, and you love it like a child. It's different, but it's similar. And when someone's going to come in and do that, the value and the hard work that you put in, it's like, hey, are they going to love this like I do? And what's the real value there? But you said something earlier that I'm kind of addicted to. It's the reason why I do the podcast. It's the reason why I wanted to write a book, and it's paying that forward, but it's helping other entrepreneurs. It's coaching, it's mentoring, it's building our future. I mean, you're so great at that. We got to do that together on the show. You've had a book, your first book that came out was a top seller, and it was the execution factor. And so people out there that haven't read your book, they need to read your book, but they need to understand that when you are successful and when you're on your journey, the more people that you can help, that's only going to elevate you, and they're going to elevate with you. You agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. Honestly, I couldn't agree more. I wrote the book because I look back at all these companies and like what made them successful and what made them fail, right? Because not all companies will be successful, but I believe there's traits that individuals, like entrepreneurs, embody that can set themselves up for, exponential success. And so that's why I wrote the first book, was really to like, hey, if you follow these traits, and there's 5 traits, you will be successful. I guarantee it. And that's how I look at, when I look at investments that I want to put money into, I look at these traits. I'm saying, do you have these 5 traits? If you don't, like, which one do you not? And maybe you got to work on it.
Let's go back to the angel investing. So if you have 20 exits, what does that look like? So the listeners know you invest into a company that is struggling. And the reason why a lot of these companies are looking for investors is they have a great concept. They have a great idea. Maybe they need cash flow to get to the next light, or, maybe they need process and coaching, but money comes in so they're not as stressed. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, it's hard to live your life when you're giving 16, 18-hour days to a business and you're paid less than everybody else in the company. Eventually, you don't want to be worn out on that. You want to get to a point where the company you've reinvested, built a foundation, and the company's profit will pay you back. Sometimes you got to bring in investors in there. What's an exit look like for some of the companies you've invested in?
Oh my goodness. I've had some really great exits. So listen, I think it just depends. I'm in tech, so the exits and the multiples on exits are probably far greater than anywhere else. And I think like that's in my DNA. So I'd invest just pointers on investing and where you're putting your money. Put your money on what you know or what you want to learn, right? Because I'm investing in areas where I believe I have expertise, which is using technology to fuel innovation or businesses that could be disrupted or markets that could be disrupted. But, when I look at other people that are investing, they're usually investing in things they know. They're investing or in people they know. And it depends. Like an angel investment, you have no idea if it's going to be successful or not. You are betting on the person to get it to the next level. And most people, that are doing angel investing, which is basically you come to me and say, Kim, I have an idea. And I'm looking at you going, well, who's the team? What's your TAM, total addressable market? And do you have that tribal leadership, right? Do you have that ability to get people to follow you when when everything else is falling around you? So I'm really looking for specific individuals at the angel level. And then I think you go into growth and different parts of, different opportunities that you can invest in. But I love the angel investing because I think that's where the magic happens. That's where it's hardest, right? How do we help people skip the line in the learning curve? Because it's hard. And if someone was there hey, Kim, I really want to be operational. I want people to be able to call me and say, COVID hit, I'm screwed. What am I going to do? And then we're going to help solve, right? A lot of companies did that. And that's why I'm here. I want people to call me. I'm we're going to come up with a great plan. And so many of those companies have come out the other side. They've now raised money. They're in a great place and they made it through. And so I want to be that support system for entrepreneurs when the times get hard, because everyone will be there when the times are great. Everyone shows up. When times are hard, who actually shows up?
I know. I agree. I couldn't say that any better. So you have a book coming out in the fall. What can you tell us about it?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. My new book's coming out, and
I'm excited too.
It's called Jump, Do What Scares You in Business and Life. So if I can jump, and when you really look at it, and I really try to reflect, what's stopping people from jumping, right? Is it fear? It's better to stay somewhere in a stagnant position in a career because it's just easy? Or is it what you know is better than what you don't know? No, you should move. There's something in you that knows you should move. If you can feel that, that gut instinct, it's time to jump. It's time to take the leap because it's far riskier. And regret is worse than not doing anything, right? Looking back at me, I should have taken that risk. I should have jumped. I should have started that business, taken that promotion, started a new job. Why are people staying? It's time to jump.
I love that. That's going to be a fun book. I need a signed copy of your first book and a signed copy of your second book, by the way.
I will send you both. I'll personally deliver.
Perfect.
Because now that you're not my neighbor anymore, I better.
Yeah, you can still fly. Come out and see me in Michigan anytime. Bring the kids. Have fun. It's not as great as Florida, but it's okay. I can't complain. So let's talk leadership qualities. You are an awesome leader. And, I think, to meet you on the show, and you're Dave Meltzer's friend, and he's a CEO coach for me. And I love the guy. You love the guy. I'm going to see him this weekend. I'm going to give a big hug like you asked me to from you. But he also is a great leader. And I think, when you're a great leader, I want you to talk about what qualities do you think make a great leader?
I think for me, and I'm really specific to entrepreneurship, it's, and any great entrepreneur has to, I think, intrinsically be a great leader, right? Because no one is successful alone. So I think for me, it's about having a really crystal clear vision of what you want to achieve. Because if you're leading people, how do they know where they're going if you can't clearly articulate that destination? So it's that clear picture of what you want to be or what you want to achieve is really important for a leader. I think it's about having I'm really, and as you know, just having great relationships, whether that be with partners, vendors, employees. I couldn't say enough about having strong relationships. And I think if you're going to make bets, it's just don't want to do it alone. Let's find people that really believe what you believe and are there to create something special together. So I'm really believe leadership is about not caring about yourself, but caring about everybody else. Yeah. Right. And I think that's important. And then I really resilience. You got to be able, and any leader is going to face tough times. And so what do you do when the times that are challenging, how do you react? And how do you, I think it really shows a lot for people, when you're bankrupt and broke and at the bottom, do you, dust yourself off and get back up? Or do you blame it on someone else? Because in my personal belief is, you can only blame yourself. There are circumstances. Everyone has circumstances. Everyone, bad things happen. I totally agree. But, you have to be able to look at yourself and say, what can I do now? What can I do? Not so many people in my experience spend time complaining about what I a victim. You're not a victim. You have the power to choose. You have the power to make that jump. You just have to make the choice. Mm-hmm. And I think that choice is yours, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of my co-host I always used to have on, John LeBlanc. He asked me if I knew what the difference was between a buffalo and a cow. Do you? No. Oh, it's a good one, though. So when the storm's coming, Kim, a cow runs from the storm, and the storm stays over the cow longer. But when a storm's coming, a buffalo runs right through it. Therefore, it conquers the storm, and it's a lot shorter pain. It goes right through the storm. And in life, you want to try to be a buffalo. And kind of what you talked about of those leadership qualities of being resilient and getting back up and dusting yourself off and taking it to the next level and not taking no for an answer or making excuses. We all have our own stuff, our own shit. That's what happens. We all have it. That's life. Life is I'm not great at golf. I suck. But when I golf, there's a sand bunker, there's out of bounds, there's all kinds of stuff. That's life. And I think when we try to be a buffalo, I love when he said that to me. I was like, dude, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. But I think about that when a storm's coming or when a problem's coming. Am I going to run from it, let it chase me and make myself miserable? Or am I going to run right through it and get it over with? And that's what it reminded me of when you said that. It's kind of inspiring.
I love that.
Isn't that great? That was a John LeBlanc quote. That wasn't my quote. It's great.
But I think it's totally to your point, right? As a leader, it's like start training. If you want to be a great leader, start training for setbacks. Put yourself in positions where you're going to get rejected all the time. It's like people reject me all the time, and like it's kind of normalized, right? Like I've failed. Like honestly, like nothing shocks me because I've actually been on the other side, and like now I know that I can, like whatever happens, I'm going to be okay.
Well, hey, I'm excited to continue to do great things with you, Kim, because you are freaking amazing. How can the people find you? What do you got coming on? Like, what do you got going on in the next year or two? And how can they find you and follow you?
Oh my goodness. I've got so many great things happening. So number one, please visit my website, kimperell.com. You'll see all of the great things I've got going on. I've got a partnership with Entrepreneur about how to start a side hustle. I've got a new program, 6 weeks to start your own business. So really focus on empowering entrepreneurs. And then my new book's coming out November 2nd. So it will be on pre-sale soon. But really, I'm just here to support anyone who has a dream and wants to achieve something great. Like I would love to help mentor you and help you through that process. So please let me know.
Count me down for about 150 to 200 books for our team. I'm going to hand it to all the leadership, out of we have 2,000 employees. So go ahead and count me down. Send me the link for the pre-order because I know our team would love that book and it's going to be exciting for them as well. We love to have inspirational people out there, authors out there to really motivate and elevate the team. And it's so good that you mentioned earlier before the thing, like people hang out, like people to keep pushing people and elevating people up. And I think a message they hear from me feels good, but they hear from me all the time. And a message they hear from you could feel better in a different way and excite them. And it's kind of what I like to make sure the culture at Power Home is like that. They have entrepreneur minds so they can continue to help build that movement. So I'm in for about 200 books. Put me down for that, by the way.
Thanks, Jayson. I love it. Well, personally, let's talk to the team. Let's see what's happening over there, right?
Absolutely. I am super excited. We're going to have to get together soon. And then are you doing any of the office hours with David Meltzer?
I don't know. I'm sure I will. I'm here to support. So in any way, yes, I love David, and he's just such an inspiring individual, huh?
I'll be in California filming with him doing that July 11th to the 16th. But I didn't know if you'd be in town then. But if not, I'm going to come see you in Florida sooner than later.
Okay, well, come see me soon, my friend.
I will. Thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you, Kim Perell. Bam! And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!